Hey everybody, this video we're going to be going over break and retest. So what I have here before you, just some break and retest rules. For your break, it must happen in the time frame of the key line that is broken. So if it's a 4-hour key line that you're approaching and breaking, then you need to be looking at that break in that 4-hour time frame. You also need the candle to close in the time frame of that break. So it's 4-hour key line. You need to go to the 4-hour chart, look for that 4-hour candle to close before you can drop down to a lower time frame and look for a retest. So you can see here after the retest in the lower time frame, you do not have to have a price action pattern to take the continuation. I'm going to show you this in a minute in a little replay that I have set up. You only need a candle to close in the direction of the break after the retest to enter that trade. Okay? Also remember there is a higher probability that the key line will be broken if it previously had 2 rejections. Okay? Now here I have the guidelines for you to show you based on what key line it is, what time frame you need to drop down to see that retest and continuation. So for you folks who want to take long-term trades, you want to go out to the monthly and see a break of that key line in the monthly, you need to drop down to your weekly to see that after you get that break in the monthly, you drop down to the weekly to look for the retest and continuation candle. If it happened on a weekly key line, you drop down to the daily to look for the retest and continuation candle. If it's a daily key line, you can drop down to the 4-hour to look for the retest and continuation. On the 4-hour key line, we drop down to our 30-minute to look for the retest and continuation candle. And on a 1-hour, you drop down to the 15-minute to see that same thing. And if you're doing a 30-minute key lines, then you need to drop down to your 5-minute to look for that retest and continuation candle. All right. So please make note of this as you go through this. These are also the lowest when it comes to what key line it is and where you're dropping down to. These are the lowest time frames when it comes to rejection trades that you want to look at as well. Now you can look higher when it comes to rejection trades, but for break and retest, you want to look as low as possible to get the best entry possible. Okay, because we're not waiting on candlestick patterns, so you don't need to wait on a 4-hour pattern. If you saw a pattern there, you can already happen in a 30-minute time frame to get that continuation candle. All right, so make note of this. This is very important stuff to know. If you haven't already watched the previous video on rejection trades, please go back and review that as well. All right, so from here, I'm going to move on. Let's see. Let me show you something real quick. I'm going to erase this. Okay. Let's do quick draw here. Show you on here just as I draw it out. So here we have a 4-hour key line, for example. And let's just say this 4-hour candle is coming up and closes here. Okay. This is a 4-hour key line, so we must wait on that candle to close in that 4-hour time frame, just as you see happening right here. Then the next thing I can do, I can drop down to a 30-minute time frame and wait and see if I'm going to get a retest in the lower time frame. Okay. And I'm going to try to draw this out. Let's say now we've dropped down to the 30-minute. And we now get this retest. Okay. Now we're not ready to take a trade yet. We're just seeing a retest of the key line in the lower time frame. The next candle comes up and gives us a continuation. Now, some of you looking at this and say, oh, that's a railroad. I don't care what this pattern is. This is not what we're looking for in that 30-minute time frame off this 4-hour key line. All we're looking for is a continuation candle in the direction that we want to go, and we want that candle to close in that direction. The minute or the second that that occurs, we're going to place a pending order, 3 pips, points, whatever it is you're trading, above that point, and let the trade take us in from that point on the next candle and beyond. All right, because we've already gotten our confirmation of the break in the 4-hour. We dropped down to the 30 to see this retest, waited for the continuation candle and close. Then we're going to place our order above that candle and let the market continue on if it so chooses to do so. Okay, so now let's look at this on a real time frame. Hopefully this works without giving me some ugly candles. 1 second. Okay. So here I have the chart up. I have a 4-hour key line drawn for you, and it is, the market is approaching. It's actually giving a rejection pattern off of it. But this just promised me, not promise, but believe me on this one, that this one is going to break. And we're going to play this as a break and retest. Even though you haven't gotten 2 rejections off this, we're only looking at the break here, so don't get wrapped up in how many rejections you saw for this. All right. So we're going to move forward. I'm going to play this out and pause it as we go. So you can see here we've got 23 minutes and some, which I'm not going to, of course, let that do that. I'm going to speed that up. Okay, so here, 4-hour candle closed above our key line. And remember, again, I'm only looking at the break and retest on this trade, all right? Normally, I would be looking at this as a, just because it closed up here, I'd still be looking for this to come back, give me my rejection, because this is the first time that it's hitting this key line. But for the sake of this example, we're just looking at this because I'm telling you this is a break and retest trade, all right? So in this case, it broke in the time frame of the zone, which is 4 hours. You can see up here, 240 minutes is a 4-hour key line. The next thing I want to do immediately when I see this close like this, I got my break. Now I'm going to see, all right, is this going to retest? Drop down to the 30-minute. It doesn't give you ugly candles like that. 1 second, let me fix it. There we go. All right, drop down to our 30-minute. And now I'm going to play this out to show you what I'm looking for in terms of a candle to give us a continuation after a retest. Nothing to take here as of yet. We want to see a retest of this key line in the 30-minute and a continuation candle. I'm going to try to speed it up. Nothing yet. Now, if this was to continue on from this point and not retest, what do? We don't have a trade. We just let it go because it did not give us what the rule says, that we must have a retest candle in the lower time frame. So now I'm getting my retest. Now, what am I waiting on here? I've got 18 minutes left on this candle. If this candle closes in the direction I want to go, that is all I need. It can be on the retest candle that it happens. If this candle was to close down and come back up on the next candle, then I'll do it on the next candle, okay? A couple of ways to look at this, because you can also look at this as a possible rejection and it not continue on. It could say, okay, yeah, it broke up here and closed on that 4-hour time frame, but it could also come down here and close and give us a pattern on a rejection trade. We want patterns on rejection trades. On break and retest, all we need is continuation after a break. All right, I don't need a pattern. So let me continue to play this and slow it down a little bit. Got 16 minutes on this candle. I guess I can speed that up. Let's get that going till that closes. Okay, pause it there. So we have a continuation candle. Don't care about the pattern. Don't care that this might be a railroad. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm only looking at the continuation after the retest candle, or on the retest candle in this case, okay? Here, I'm looking at the top of this candle, and I'm gonna go 3 points above, because I'm in NASDAQ, so it's points in this case, and I'm gonna set a buy stop, because I'm going to buy this market as it breaks this and continues on with this trade. Now, this comes back down here and closes back down here, then this trade's off. I'm looking at something else until I get a continuation of what I want going forward, okay? Because this is a situation where it could reject. All right, so let's play this out. Now with Ninja, I can't set my stop loss until it gets me into the trade, which I have this automatically set. So all I gotta do is move it, put my stop loss down here below this candle, because if this comes down and below this point, then I'm looking to get out of the trade anyway. So I don't need to go any further than that. And that's about, I can tell you that stop is about a 24, 25 point stop from where I got into that trade, which is fine. Okay. And I'm gonna let it do its thing. We'll speed it up for you so you can see where we're going. Move that down a little bit so you can see it up here. Do I have it marked? I don't have it marked. Back over here is the height of the market, is right there. Okay. I don't really have a zone in here. I got a gap that I would like for this to close. So I'm at least looking for that to close that gap. But I'm going to mark this height of the market. Okay. And I'm going to put my take profit is going to be right there. I have my stop loss down here. And let's just see what happens. And you see there's no stress in taking this trade. It's simply, if it comes out, takes me out, so what? I set back up on the next one and keep it moving. Speed it up for you for the sake of this video. Now, if you got up here and you saw this happening, I might take those points if I was in this trade live money, but just for you guys, I'm gonna let it go. That's 50 some odd points on that trade. So you can see, hope you guys got that context of what we need to do in terms of the processes. Please take note of this. Please watch it over and over and over again. Ask questions so we can get you guys up on this. I know a lot of people have issues about understanding break and retest. Also understand here, I didn't mention it, but as this zone was broken, it now became a swap zone. And that retest of that zone now became the first rejection on this zone. If I go back to the 4-hour, you can see here, zone was broken, retested, That is the first rejection off of that zone, making this a swap zone. Okay. We'll get more into that. Maybe I'll do a video on swap zones to see if I need to, but hopefully this helped you all out with this, and we'll go from there. You guys have a great one.